Hey everybody, this is Collin Daniels from Red Treasure. I wanted to talk to you all about something that happened last weekend because I think it'd be helpful for people to hear it. I think somebody will be helped by it, and I apologize for the traffic noise from Burbank Boulevard that's coming through the window. Not much I can do about that. So a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine who's a brilliant, talented, creative person who has done a ton of brilliant stuff, posted a comment on his Facebook page that ended up in my feed. And long story short, it was a short comment. He was basically saying that he was discouraged with where he was at in his creative career. And so I posted a comment back. I was very moved by this because I felt like what I was aware of is that this person was brilliant, super talented, a great person, like a great human being, treated all the artists that they worked with the best, was just like a grade A person to work with. Plus, was super talented, plus made art, like was making creative stuff, like a lot of the time. And so I got really moved by that because it came out of a sense of relating to it. It wasn't like I was from on high trying to tell this person, why are you being discouraged? You shouldn't be discouraged. I was moved because I've been discouraged so much, as a musician and as other things that I tried to be creatively in my life. And not by anything other than programming in my own head, and I've just come to a point where I've started making these videos because I just see it everywhere. I live in Los Angeles. As many people here are trying to be actors, directors, filmmakers, cinematographers, directors of photography, musicians, singers, whatever. DJs, everything, we have everything here in LA. A lot of people come here trying to make it, which if you haven't seen my video about don't try to make it, you can go watch that. But anyway, so we have all these people here. But as many people are here and in places like New York and a few other places, like there's musicians in Austin and Nashville, trying to make it there. I just feel like the great majority of people are just plagued by this voice in their head, that tells them either not to be creative or you're not being creative enough. Or I think what my friend was going through, and I'm guessing because the comment was very brief, but what I was guessing the comment was about was, I have told the world that I'm a creative person, I'm in this creative career, and I'm X years old, and by X years old, I should have been further along in fame, money, success, whatever. And this person may not have been saying that, I just want to put that on the record. This is my interpretation, this is my guess. But I just encounter that so often, and I've experienced it myself, I still experience it myself. So I went on this little rant just saying, and I really liked what I said because I just sort of went full out. I pulled no punches. I just said, dude, you are brilliant. You're super talented. You do your art where you can. You have a day job that you do, but you also do your art. Every time I'm talking to you, you've got other stuff going on. I've seen your stuff. It's amazing. It's legitimately amazing. And I don't remember exactly how I said it, but I said, that is the end of the story. You know what I mean? Like, that's all we should be talking about is good for you, you're creative, you're brilliant, and you're making your art, and you're living your life. The end. Like, keep doing it. Like, we don't have to keep having this conversation with ourselves in our own heads about, should I? Can I? Have I done enough? Am I successful enough? Am I famous enough? Have I made enough money? Do I have enough followers? Do I have enough likes? Do I have enough da-da-da-da-da? I'm just so sick of that conversation. There's so many people that I believe everyone's a creative artist in some way. I just believe we're born with that as humans. We are creative. Every little kid makes art. Every little kid grabs crayons, grabs magic markers, grabs finger paints, grabs chalk, and just does art. They don't think about it, they just do it. And then we get trained out of that. And we get trained into this mind fuck of, well, if you want to be an artist, if you want to call yourself a creative person, well, then you're going to have to do it professionally, and you're going to have to be a massive success, like on a grand fucking scale. Otherwise, you've committed some sort of fucking capital crime, which is it's just this fictional story that we've made up as a culture and as a society. Then we all hard code it up here. And most people in this country are they're either avoiding creativity and artistic stuff all the time and distracting themselves with a day job they hate, or I live right near the fire department here in LA. This is kind of a constant thing. But either they're hiding from art entirely by watching Netflix all day. I don't know, like just whatever, having drama with their friends, having drama with their roommates, having drama at their day job, which just all distracts them from being able to be in their space with that childlike energy, just like grabbing crayons or grabbing paint or grabbing a script or whatever, grabbing your word processor and writing something, and it's just, so you're either in that comfort zone of like, you're not doing anything creative. So if you go to a party and somebody says, I paint, you are off the hook. You don't have to be judged. You don't have to be criticized. Nobody's going to come at you and ask you like, well, do you sell your paintings? And, how many have you sold and what do you sell them for? And are you famous? Have you been in a magazine, or have you been reviewed by the New York Times or anything like that? So you're either in that bucket, like you're avoiding art entirely, which is a natural, to be like avoiding eating or avoiding romantic relationships and sex or avoiding, sleep, which is really what it's almost that crucial to our well-being. So you're either doing that, or you are trying to be an artist, but you're trying to make it. Again, go watch the video about don't try to make it. And that doesn't mean, for the 1000th time, it doesn't mean don't try to be successful, don't try to expand your art, don't try to get an audience, don't try to get an agent. I don't mean any of that. I just mean, when I say stop trying to make it, the main thing is I want myself and I want all creative people everywhere to stop using some yardstick that is really something that is in our own heads and based on what we think, what other people told us in the past, or what we think other people are thinking, or what someone in the media said about some celebrity or something, and just let go of that. Just let go of that and just be creative and see where that takes you. And so anyway, I just feel there's this pandemic that just has to be addressed. And some people are addressing it, but not enough people are addressing it. And I'm at the point now in my journey where it's like, it's just freaking time. So anyway, so I just feel like the whole world, except for a very small percentage of people, is in one of these two camps. Either they're avoiding art on the one hand, or they're trying to do art, but they're hard on themselves. They're scared all the time because they're scared they're gonna fail. They're scared they're gonna be judged a failure. They're gonna be judged for having, lived a crazy artistic life when they should have gotten a real job and delved into that real career and gotten more security, more stability, whatever, So anyway, so my friend posted this comment and I just was like, dude, like, you're the man. Like, I've seen your stuff. You're brilliant. You've done your art for years. You continue to do your art. Like, that it can be the end of the story if we let it. So let's let it. Like, let's let it be the end of the damn story. So the reason I'm telling that part of that story is because of what happens a week later. So last Friday, so not just a few days ago, but a week ago, so like 10 days ago at this point, my band, Red Treasure, had a gig, and it was the first time we played in a year. And we played the Federal Bar in North Hollywood. And I'm trying out a brand new strategy of like promoting the show, which is I don't try to sell the show. I don't try to tell people, I don't try to pressure people. I don't try to say, hey, we have a show, come to our show. I don't write in the copy like, it's gonna be really fun and you should come. You know, my whole strategy was, I think I did 3 or 4 things. One of them was I personally invited people. And I said straight up, like, you know, we understand if you can't make it, but I just wanna let you know. And this is one-on-one. It's either text message or an email or actually talking to the person face to face. And I just said, I just wanna let you know you're personally invited to the show. The other thing was I just contacted our fans and just checked in with them. You know, I didn't even talk about the show. I just wanted to see how they're doing, and I genuinely did. And a lot of times those conversations wound around to the person asking like, oh, are you guys playing a show? And I said, yeah, we are playing one, you know, on Friday, May 17th, you know. And they'd be like, oh, cool. So, and the other thing I was doing on Instagram and Facebook, which some of you may have seen, was I got this creative idea of doing a countdown. So every day, I think I started at 18 days till the show. It was either me or Gabriel, my drummer, or one of our fans, just with some sign that they held up in some sort of weird pose saying, you know, 15 days left, you know, 10 days left, 4 days left, whatever. And again, when I put the copy on the Instagram post, I wasn't like, you should come, you better come. I either just said, you'll be invited, or I just provided the details. I just said, we are playing. Because high pressure shit, I want to say it doesn't work, but it does work. You know, I mean, car dealerships wouldn't make any money if it didn't work, but and there's a lot of successful car dealerships in this country, but it's just not how I want to be, and I just think it naturally turns everybody off. And so I'm just more in this mode of like, I just want to personally invite people or let people know about stuff. I'm tired of like pressuring. I just feel like if you're meant to come to our show, if you're meant to get into our band, you will. Now it's my job, it is part of my job, I feel, to go out and put our music and our name in front of a lot of people who might like it in case they like it, but it's not my job to force it down anybody's throat and say, you have to like us, like, why don't you like us? Like, why didn't you come to our show? Whatever. So the weird thing was in doing this sort of like no pressure, because I would almost always, like when I did an email blast in the past for a show that was coming up or the Facebook event, you know, I would use pressuring language just naturally. I just think it comes naturally to most of us. It's like we don't know what else to do because we're stuck with this sort of thing of like, we want a lot of people to come to our thing, but we don't really know how to convince people other than to just say, I really want you to, which for most people, that's not a motivator. You know, for any of us, there has to be something in it for them, you know? So anyway, so I'm doing this new strategy where I don't use any high pressure language. And this weird thing started to happen is a bunch of people were saying, I will definitely be there, which typically, especially in Los Angeles, people don't say that because they are very busy. They have a bunch of things they could do. It's also kind of an exhausting city. Most people have jobs and a long commute both ways. So it's like, especially like on weekends, people want to like reserve the right to pass on a social obligation, which I totally have done myself, and I totally understand because you just get tired like living and working here. But a lot of people were telling me like, I'm definitely gonna be there. And I was like, and it was good. I mean, I didn't then switch into a high pressure mode and be like, well, are you sure? You know, are you gonna sign this thing and make sure that, you know, we have proof that you said that? I was just, well, that's great. I was just trying to be no pressure, just be like happy and just be like, that'd be great. It'd be awesome to have you there. It's gonna be a lot of fun, which was the truth, which I genuinely felt. So then what happened was the 48 hours before Friday morning. So we're gonna play at 8, we're scheduled to play at 8 o'clock Friday night, May 17th. So the 48 hours before that, I just get text messages, Facebook Messenger messages, Instagram messages, emails, like in person, like almost everybody that told me that they were definitely coming to the show, like had a sudden reason that came up and they were letting me know. They were going out of their way to let me know that they weren't gonna be at the show at all. And I'm gonna make a whole other video about how don't do that to your musician friends. Which is if you can't come to a show, no matter what you told the band or your musician friend before the show, don't tell them right before the show. Just wait until after the show and say, I'm sorry I didn't make it. because I don't know, I assume this is a universal phenomenon, but maybe it's not. I've been in a band a long time, and what you end up having is like the 24 or 48 hours before your show, what you get is nobody who's coming says, hey, I'm coming, or a few do, but most of them don't, because they're like, I'll be there. They'll know I'm there when they see me. The people that text you or call you or email you or whatever are the people that aren't going to come, and they feel bad, and so I always feel like they want this like permission, or they want you to absolve them, you know. But anyway, so what ends up happening is the 24 or 48 hours before you do a show, like all you hear is like, I'm not coming, I'm not coming, I'm not coming, I'm not coming, which it's really hard to not take it personally. That's the right thing to do, is to not take it personally, because it's not personal. But it's hard, at least for me, it's very challenging not to take it personally and to feel like my music doesn't matter to anybody. Like, it just matters to me and my bandmates, and that's it, you know? So, but I've been talking all this stuff lately about how I'm encouraging other people to let go of other people's opinions and do your art, and don't worry about, how you're doing. Don't worry about making it. Don't take the measuring stick out at one show or one performance or whatever about how many people came or whether you got reviewed or anything. Like, it's just be patient, just keep doing your art. Eventually good things will happen, like if you do it with joy and happiness and whatever. So I've been singing this song for weeks, and I get 48 hours of just people like, not gonna come. Oh, I told you I was definitely coming, I can't come, here's this weird reason. And like the first few people I held up okay, and then eventually it was like a dam broke in my mind, and I just got to be that person that I am now trying to convert, I was firmly in the mindset of my worst negative thoughts up here. All the crap that I talk about on these videos and I talk about with my friends about, letting go of results, letting go of, not worrying about the results of things, just being happy in the process, loving the journey, doing the art because you love it, being open to receiving money and it being okay to desire money, but not doing it for the money, not getting caught up in like, how much money have I made today in my art, giving yourself the freedom to do your art without like a hot, I've got to make money tomorrow kind of pressure. So I've been talking like that, and then all of a sudden I'm like the opposite. Like, I'm locked into this framework, and that's why I say I make these videos not because I'm preaching from some pulpit where I either never struggled with this or I've like completely overcome it. Like, I deal with it and it bothers me, and part of why I make these videos is so that I will continue to heal this and get better. But I was super dark. I was so negative. All those voices in my head. And I think what it would be helpful is just to say what the voice was saying out loud. So the voice was saying out loud, this is proof that you're no good. This is proof that their music isn't gonna catch on. You're not gonna get a following. You don't really have a fan base. You moved to LA for nothing. You're a failure. You're an embarrassment to yourself, to your family. You should quit right now. You should have quit a long time ago. Who do you think you are? Trying to be a rock star in Los Angeles. You're way too old. You're 48 years old. You're way too old to make it. Like, you were deluding yourself. Stop kidding yourself. Grow up. Quit this creative thing that you say you love and just suck it up. Life is hard and things don't work out. And that didn't feel good at all. But that's what that voice was saying in my head. And I think one of the things that makes it so hard is it's in my head. If there was another person saying it to me, like, my friends could be like, hey, asshole, don't talk that way to Collin. But because it's in my head and nobody else knows what's going on, it's awful, because it's like that person is like hanging around me all the time and there's no way to get rid of him, So I did text a friend of mine who knows me really well and who knows the kind of things that I can go through sometimes. And I said, I'm really struggling. I said, a whole bunch of people have told me they're not coming, and it just feels like we're gonna get there. Nobody's gonna be there to watch us and hear us play. And I'm just questioning everything. I just told my friend, I'm like, I'm in that dark place. I'm not rational. I'm not in the truth. I'm not hearing the truth. I'm not remembering the truth. I'm not believing the truth. I've got a series of lies being aggressively fed to me in my own mind, and I'm just buying it. And it's triggered me, and now I can't stop. You know, I know somewhere in my mind, I know the intellectual truth that all of that is bullshit, that it's fine, but I can't get there. Like, my mind is in the place where, you know, I'm a failure, it's all been for nothing, whatever. And my friend said something really good. She just texted me and she just said, yeah, we don't control results. As humans, we just don't control the results of anything ever. And she said, I think if you can get good with that, you'll have some relief from what you're going through. And I realized that I had been doing all this like promotional work and with this new philosophy, you know, and I've been personally inviting people and, you know, not doing the used car salesman pitch and doing the creative things with the signs and just telling people where the place was and what the time was, not doing any like, please come on, come, you know, if you're really my friend, you should come. If you really love us, you should come, you know. And I thought that when I was doing that sort of marketing work, that different approach, that I was letting go of the results, you know. I'm like, that's what I'm doing, man. I'm not pressuring anybody. I'm letting go of the results. But I realized when my friend texted me that, I realized that like my ego had played a trick on me. And actually what had happened was I got attached mentally to the idea that, well, I'm going to do this new marketing approach of like hands off, just inviting people, just whoever comes, it's fine. But by being that sort of using that specific approach, I'm going to control a lot of people to coming to the show. And I'm finally going to crack this code that I've been fucking struggling with since 2006 in getting people to come to my shows in New York and Los Angeles, you know, getting a lot of people to come. I really thought that like we'd get about 30 people, which for us would be huge. I know to some people that's like nothing, but like for 30 people to pay to see us in Los Angeles would be huge. It would be a huge step forward. And I really had convinced myself, not just that 30 people were gonna come, but that I had gamed the system, I'd figured out the rules, and I now could play God. And I could control how many people were gonna come to my show, and I had done something that I was convinced that would definitely get 30 people or more to my show. And obviously with the number of people that were telling me they weren't coming, what was being shown to me is you didn't control the results. And my friend was totally right, you didn't control the results. And something about her just saying that, just partly because I've worked on this so much, because it's been such a huge problem for me, or challenge. When she said that, like, just, you don't control the results, you did your best, let it go. I was like, right, like, believe what I tell all these people on YouTube, like, you know, physician, heal thyself. Like, it's not about how many people come. It is in one way, in the sense that I want to conduct myself in a way that welcomes new fans to join our group of fans and come see us play live and to listen to our songs on Spotify and Apple Music and whatever. But I'm not in charge of how it happens, and I'm not even in charge of if it happens. I think that's the scariest thing. It's like, we might be playing for the number of people that we're playing for right now for the rest of my natural life. You know, I can't control it. Things like I can't be master of the universe so that I control people into getting to the show. I can get better at marketing, I can get better at music, I can write better songs, you know, whatever, but I can't control, even with all that, I can't control the number of people coming to a show. Like, to a certain extent, that is up to the universe, it's not up to me. And once I got good with that, I was really chilled out. And skip to the end, like, the show was great. Like, we had an amazing show. We had 13 people come to the show. 8 of them were on our guest list, meaning we paid for them to get in. So it cost us, actually put 9 people on the guest list and one of them didn't show up. So it cost us $90, cost me $90. I paid for it because it was my decision. It cost me $90 to get 8 people in for free, and then 5 other people came and paid $10. So we had 13 people total. We didn't make any money because in order to make money, we would have had to at least bring more than 20 people. That was our agreement with the booker. So in terms of like, you know, financial success or whatever, it wasn't very great if that's all you look at. But there's so many things that came out of it. Number one, it was a great show. Like, we played really well. The venue was amazing. The staff at the Federal Bar was so great and professional and super nice to us. Treated us like we were an important part of the evening, which you don't always get at a club or a bar. A lot of times those people are annoyed that they have to like deal with people who are coming to play music. So, I mean, it was a great night. We had the 13 people that came were amazing. A lot of those people, I would say over half drove from really far away below the 10 freeway to come to San Fernando Valley in North Hollywood to see the show. So that's really amazing. Like, anytime you get anybody in the world to like drive like more than an hour to come see you do your creative thing, like, that's a miracle. Like, I need to be so grateful for that. I need to be so grateful for that. And it's so easy for me to just be like, well, we only had 13 people. Like, I've been doing this band for X number of years, and why don't we have more people? And it's like, when I'm in that stupid negative place, I miss the fact, like, look how many people drove like an hour or more just to come see me play. Like, that's incredible, just to share this with me. Like, that's gold. Like, on my deathbed, that's gonna matter more than money, more than, you know, how famous did I get? Like, the fact that I put my thing out there creatively, and people, even if it's just a handful, responded to it in a way that they wanted to come and support it and just be with us, you know, while we had fun and while we made music and created a fun for people to have, you know, however you want to say it. But the other thing is, and I'll just shortcut this because it would be a long thing, it's very complicated, and this video's already gone 25 minutes. But I just realized there's a whole thing about our marketing strategy in terms of, and I hate to use that term because it's really just about our artistic strategy. Like, what are we actually trying to do as a band? But there's this thing that would take too long to explain that basically the show was a really good teacher for me about that, and it's not, again, I just don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but it's sort of about like how often we play, where we play in Los Angeles, and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, we can improve at that. I'll just simplify it at that. We can improve our sort of how often we play and where we play, and making it easier or harder for people to come to the show. And I wouldn't have learned that lesson, and it was just, trust me, it was a really important lesson. Like, when it hit me after the show, like, oh, wait a minute, you know, there's a reason why, you know, 30 people or more told me they were definitely coming and only 13 showed up. Like, there's a really good reason for that, and it has nothing to do with I mean, maybe it has something to do with our music, but I don't think it has much to do with our music. I think a lot of it is how we're doing shows. And it's like, and because the show worked out the way it did, like, because of all the promotional work I did, and how I was like certain there was gonna be 30 or more people there, and then we had 13 instead. Like, I would not have learned that lesson if the 30 people had shown up. And I think we still were making the same, I wouldn't say mistake, but like, the way we're getting booked and where we're playing and how often, I think we're still not doing that the best way. So if 32 people had shown up, that would have actually given me false evidence that what I did was working really well, when the reality is we need to change our strategy around that a little bit. And I was like so grateful when I realized that either at the end of the night or the next morning, I was like, oh my God, like, we needed to shift our strategy. And it's so funny because I feel like the universe has been trying to tell me to shift that strategy for a long time. And I just have been so busy and so wrapped up in my head sometimes about the way I think I'm gonna figure everything out for the band with my intellectual mind, instead of trusting my gut, trusting my intuition, allowing the universe to help us more. That I just wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to that message. But that show, Friday, really got it through to me. Like, oh yeah, there's this shift in strategy that we can do. And who knows if it'll work the way I think it will or not. But I think it's not about like being more successful. I think it's just more like, it's hard to explain, but it's just sort of like, we need to be performing more in alignment with the kind of band that we are, and the kind of fans that we tend to draw. And we kind of haven't been doing that. We haven't been paying attention. And it's on me because I do all the booking. I'm not throwing Gabriel under the bus at all. I'm 100% in charge of the booking the shows. So that's really on me. And the great thing is today I can see that as like, oh, I just learned something. And who gives a fuck how old I am or whatever, you know, like where we're at. And we only had 13 people or whatever. Like, we had an amazing show and we learned something. I learned something really helpful about our booking strategy, which I think will help us. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But now I can go try something different because this thing happened. And I'm just so blessed that, like, first of all, I'm super grateful to my friend who texted me back and said, you know, we don't control results. I don't know what it was about that sentence, but it just lifted it. It's like, yeah, this is my problem. Like, I try to get into this thing. And I think so many people, like when, and this is a stereotypical thing, but it's just a really good example and it's hypothetical. I'm not talking about anybody specific here, although I think it's played out specifically with many people over the years. Person loves acting, wants to be an actor, moves from somewhere in America to Los Angeles, starts auditioning, you know, gets an agent, gets a few theater roles, can't really break into film, can't really break into TV, gets some commercials. You know, that keeps the money rolling in for a while. You know, they make the, you know, the final callback, but then they keep not getting the role. And, you know, and now it's 4 years, now it's 5 years, and they still haven't made a single appearance on TV. They haven't made a single appearance in film. They've done a lot of theater that hasn't paid really well. They've done a few commercials that pay well, but not enough to like pay all the bills for that whole period, you know. And so they just wake up one morning and they're tired of being stressed and they're tired of feeling like a failure. And so they just say, fuck it, I'm moving back to where I came from, somewhere in America, and I'm just gonna go do what my brother does for work, or what my dad does for work, or what my best friend from high school does for work, or what some teacher told me I should do in 4th grade for work, you know. And I just feel like that phenomenon just doesn't have to exist. Like, we just don't have to do it. Like, if like, that's the thing. Like, if I hadn't had my friend, if I hadn't worked on this issue myself, I think, but even with all the work I've done, if I hadn't texted my friend, I can see myself as someone who would have just been like, you know what, fuck it. Like, what the hell am I doing? You know? I have a day job, I do pretty well there, I'm pretty well paid. Maybe I should just pour 100%, 110% of my energy into that. That was another thing that my voice said, the evil voice, when the people were telling me they couldn't make it. It was telling me like, oh, you know, you're spreading yourself too thin and you could be more successful in your day job, which is weird. I'm pretty successful in my day job, but you know, the evil voice was like, yeah, you're not as successful as you could be because you're wasting your time with this music bullshit, you know? And, you know, so I mean, I just feel like I feel blessed. I'm not trying to set myself up as some perfect person that's overcome this. I'm telling the story because I went as far down as anybody I've ever heard. I went as dark as I go. I was thinking the worst things. I was thinking, I'm quitting, I'm a failure, fuck it, I'm done. And yet I was able to get to a place, which again, it's all up here, it's all mental. It's all mental. I was able to get to a place in my mind where I was like, you know what, I'm creating all this drama and it's just bullshit, it's just fiction. Like this whole thing about like, I'm a failure because I did this marketing stuff and I thought it would get us 30 people and it got us 13. Like, that's just bullshit. Like, we don't need to analyze it. There's nobody's going on trial, nobody's getting arrested. You know, it's just like, it was fine, you know? And so we're not U2 today. We're not, you know, we're not gonna fill the Rose Bowl today. And that's great, because we're on the journey we're on, and we're not supposed to play the Rose Bowl today, as much as I would love to. I would really love to play the Rose Bowl. Maybe not tonight, I'm tired, but tomorrow night. I'd love to play the Rose Bowl tomorrow night. But we're not going to, and that's okay. And maybe someday we will, and someday we won't. But I'm just really grateful that I got to a place where I was like, I was able to very quickly turn that mental thinking around and see this thing. Number one, just see the evening as like, what a gift. 13 amazing people came, and 15 of us, the 13 people plus the 2 of us, had a blast. We spent a whole night together in this precious human life, and we had a blast together. So 15 people had a totally fun evening partly because I'm doing my music and they supported it. So that's just good. You can take all the stuff about the booking strategy, all this, the Rose Bowl, all that, throw that all out the window and just say, I had an amazing night. On my deathbed, I'm gonna look back at Friday, May 17th, 2019 and go, I'm so happy that I let myself make music. I let myself write songs. I let myself find a drummer. I let myself go to rehearsal every week. I let myself get booked at a club in Los Angeles, and I let, a bunch of people know so that 13 people could show up and enjoy the night with us. Like on my deathbed, I'm gonna feel so good about that night. But even with that, I also got an important lesson from it that I think is gonna serve the band really well. I don't know for sure, could be wrong. But it gives me this idea to improve, what we're doing in terms of booking and doing shows. So I just feel like when people get discouraged, it's like right now, it's like I don't have time to talk to everybody, but it's like literally like call me. That's what I want to say, is like call me, like I'll talk you out of it. Like my friend texted me and talked me out of it, I'll talk you out of it. Like that's what we need, is we need to support each other and like talk each other out of the bullshit, the fictional story that one external result, which for me, Friday night was how many individual people came to see my band at the Federal Bar. Like that one little result, it's not totally meaningless, but it's mostly meaningless in the grand scheme of things, It's just not, but people kill themselves over those one little detail. They'll pull it out like I pulled it out. My brain pulled it out. My brain was convinced about 4 or 5 people were gonna come, and I kind of obsessed on those numbers. It's gonna be 4 or 5 people, and that's gonna be so embarrassing. And I'm gonna be up there strumming the guitar, singing and screaming, and 4 people are gonna be like looking at me, and it's just gonna be so embarrassing. Because like, why am I here in Los Angeles doing this if only 4 people care? And I convinced myself of that 4 or 5 number. And it's like, I obsessed about it. I obsessed about 4 or 5 as like, it was like getting an F minus, on a test in school. It's like, it's failure. 4 or 5 people at a show, that's failure. You know what I mean? And we just got to support each other so we can understand that voice, that narrative, it's just bullshit. It's fiction. It's invented. We've all drunk the Kool-Aid, but it wasn't real Kool-Aid. I don't know if I did the metaphor right there, but it's like, we didn't need to drink it or whatever. Like it's, even if my worst nightmare, like no one had shown up, which I think that's every band's worst nightmare, is you do the show and actually nobody shows up. Honestly, there were people there for the other bands and musicians. There's bartenders, and there's my bandmate, and there's me. And it's like, literally, if all we did was go on stage and play, even if they ushered us off after 3 songs, because like, you didn't bring any people, so we're gonna yank you off. Number one, I tried. Like, number one, I made an effort. I wrote songs, and I went to a place in the world where I could try to share them with the world. So I give props to me for that. Number 2, I probably had fun playing those 3 songs. And I had fun with Gabriel, because we have a blast together. We both love the music we create. So it's like, even if the evening had gone way worse than how it went, nobody planned for the bartender and like the fans of the people that played before us or playing after us, whatever, and those people ignoring us mainly, it still would have been a good night. It still would have been a great night, actually. But it's just like for me, I have to keep sharpening my mental acuity around this so that I think of it in the correct way, instead of thinking of it as what that old negative evil voice in my head wants to keep making it. So and it was just funny that it really was humorous that like I was lecturing my friend on Facebook a week earlier, like, man, don't get discouraged. And then like literally 7 days later, I was like just as dark as he was, probably darker. Like I was thinking like, I'm quitting, I'm leaving Los Angeles, like fuck it. Like, I don't know, he might've just been like, man, I'm kind of bummed out about what just happened today. I was like, I'm done. Like, and it wasn't me. I say but it was like, it was that evil voice. And I was just like, just really having a challenge tuning it out or turning it off. So anyway, I wanted to tell you guys that story. It's hard to tell that story because, my ego wants to come off like I've got this all figured out, like it's, it makes me feel insecure to share a flaw like that. 'Cause that's a flaw, like the fact that a few people didn't, said they were going to come to my show, and then for probably very good reasons weren't able to make it, the fact that that information could turn me into this totally crazy negative person who, if I listen to the voice, I'm ready to like abandon everything I've worked for and like leave LA and all that stuff. Like, that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to share that. But because I want to be this guy who's like, yeah, I'm tough, man. Like, I'm in it for, you know, like, I never question whether I made the right choice, you know, like I'm a rock star and I know it, and if nobody gets it, fuck them, I don't care. I would love to be that guy. I'm working towards being that guy. That guy was kind of a dick. I don't know why I did it that way, but you know, just super confident all the time. I'm working towards that. I don't think I'll ever hit it perfectly. I think I'll always struggle with insecurity, but it's embarrassing to share that with you guys. But I just sort of feel like there's so many people out there going through the same thing, you know, like when I talk to other musicians, like I've had so many conversations with people. I go to see their show and I'm all psyched because I'm friends with them and I love their band, I love their music. It's been a while, I can't wait to see them play. And I talk to them before the show and they're like completely depressed. And I'm like, what's the matter? And they're like, oh, I don't think anybody's coming, man. Like, we go on in 5 minutes and there's like 3 people here. And it's just like, man, it's just such an opportunity where we can be happy. Like, well, I showed up. I mean, not that I'm the shit, but it's like, I showed up. I love you guys and I'm here. Like, at the very least, the band members and me, we can all have a good time. But you know, it's like this, I keep saying pandemic. It just feels like it's this disease, and it doesn't matter if you're somebody who avoids the art or is trying to do the art. You're affected by it either way. Either you're trying, you know, you have to keep avoiding it, or you're in this locked struggle with yourself about like, do I even have the right to do this? Should I even be here? Am I already a failure? Am I gonna be a failure? Like, am I gonna be broke? Are people gonna be disappointed in me? Are people gonna think I'm a loser? You know, we can just let go of all that shit, man. So I hope it's helpful. Like, I'm really interested in people's point of view. So if you wanna leave a comment down below, I would really appreciate it. My vision for this is for my journey with the band and my music to be a conversation about this, because I want to be more successful. I'm not sitting here lying and saying like, oh, I'm fine playing for 13 people every week. I don't want to, you know, I'm good. I don't want to get famous. Like, I totally want to get famous and I totally want to get rich from the band. But I just want to make sure that's not why I'm doing it. You know what I mean? And I think I will have an easier time becoming rich and famous if I do this for the right reasons. But regardless, I'll be happier because I will be doing it because I love the music and I want to just have fun, make other people happy, help other people access their emotions, whatever they need from my music. And yeah, so all right, I could go on forever, obviously, you know, but thanks for watching. But if you have something about this jumped out at you, please leave a comment. I'm really interested in what you have to say. And if you're a creative person, which that's all of you, you have my permission, for whatever it's worth, to just make whatever fuck art you want today. Just do it.